Happy Sunday, everyone. All right, hopefully that's not too loud. What is up? Oh, God, I just realized we didn't... Let's quickly fix that. Sorry, I was so busy tweaking other things, I forgot about the other things. And then the things of the things of the things. Just so many things, really. Wait, why are we in sci-fi mode still? Let's fix that. Let's get back to my home, all right? The place I was clearly born and meant to be forever and ever. But yes, so tweaked the production setup a little bit today. We are going to be streaming from the secondary PC and then recording on the primary. Because I'm not sure if it was showing in the recordings, but I was noticing frame skips, frame drops recently in AoE4. I don't know what they've done, dude. They've clearly messed with something. It's very obvious they're doing something. But yes, hopefully everything works well. One worry I do have is that I'm going to get Twitch molding at the music playing. I can't remember if they warn you about that in the middle of, or if it's afterwards. So maybe we'll only have music at the beginning of the stream. We'll see how it goes though. Added a few extra songs in while I was at it, so we'll see if I get thumped over the face by YouTube's copyright system, because they're a pain in the ass. But yes, so plans today. We actually have a show match coming up at 17:30 CET between Voldemort and Myriad. It's going to be a best of 7. We've got some spicy maps mixed in there to keep it interesting. Some maps just aren't being played right now because they're not on the ladder, combined with some that just aren't even couldn't play at the moment. So it should be a fun one. That's going to be a $100 show match on the line. So the other interesting thing, and I'm going to double check they're still down for it. They bloody well better be, because that's what's going to make it incredible. Is the idea is to have them both in a VoIP together, and that we'll be able to listen in on their talkings occasionally, so that we can basically listen to them smack talking each other, throwing each other off. Because I'm a big believer that if you really want money to come into these type of scenes, it's all about the entertainment value, and that is going to add boatloads of funny time to it. Sup, Arcleaf? Sup, M7? How's it going, buddies? So we're going to open up with some ladder games. The idea is that we've got, was it 4 hours? About 4 hours now? Wait. Yeah, 4 hours now until the show match starts. So we're going to cast some pubs. In about 3 hours' time, I'll go have my dinner so that we are well rejuvenated for what could possibly be a long best of 7. We'll see how it goes. And then when we come back, we'll be prime position to open up with the show match. And then possibly we'll catch some TV2s after that, depending on how quickly it's going to be. Is that bird shirt? Yep. I got my birdies. I didn't have pigeons, but I do accept pheasants. There's pheasants everywhere. So, everything looks smooth, right? By the way, like stream-wise, the quality looks really, really good, right? Because I've basically opted to use my second PC this time around. In fact, let me check the task manager load, because that'll be a good idea to keep open to monitor and see how it performs. If I'm not going to get a win today, I don't know, man. I mean, that's why we hosted this show match, right? To give him a chance. Like, because, you know, I'm just magnanimous like that and stuff. Sometimes when I speak, I feel like the character from Fallout. The one that was in Superstore as well. Wow, 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 wow. God. I can't believe I compared myself to that willingly. That's painful. So, just double check. Just in case there's a live game. So Anatan now, dude. There's no point even observing Anatan now. He's literally always just in free-for-alls. You watching the series Fallout? Yes, I am on the 3rd episode. We've watched 3 episodes. So yeah. I'm liking it a lot though. Like by the start of episode 2, I was like, I kind of want to play Fallout 3 again. I mean, the sad part is everyone's like, oh, let's play Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas, even Fallout 76. Nobody's like, let's play Fallout 2. And that breaks my heart, because Fallout 2 is the game that put it full on the map. It's the one that really gave it that legacy in the first place. Is it good enough to enjoy if you never played the game? Yes, absolutely. So some people are going to say start with 4 because 3 is better. My logic would be just follow on the order through. The reason being is that obviously certain things will be smoother in the newer ones, whereas like maybe the quality of story or whatever might be worse. So I'd say, you know, start off with 3. make your way into New Vegas. New Vegas, next one. New Vegas, by a lot of people, the hardcore Fallout fans, is considered to be, is regarded as the best Fallout game of the modern generation ones, because it was made by OG devs, the ones that actually worked on Fallout 1 and 2. So do Fallout 3, do Fallout New Vegas, then you can do Fallout 4, and then if you want, you can dabble with 76. Fallout 76, I know right now, I think it's free to play, so you can actually spin it up and give it a try if you want for the next few days. And then it's going, I think also if you have Prime, you can get it for free on the Microsoft Store. So there are a few ways to get your hands on it right now. Outside that, you know, you're going to be looking at Fallout 2. I definitely recommend exploring if you like turn-based games, because the interesting thing with like Fallout 3 and beyond is it's a cross between real-time FPS and turn-based, whereas the old ones were hexa turn-based ARPGs, not ARPGs, sorry, RPGs. It's a very risky move. Halo? Dude, I haven't even bothered with Halo. When I heard they decided to just unmask the chief, I'm like, what? I was already like, I don't know about this, dog. Like, I'm not even that hardcore of a Halo fan, because I grew up on the PlayStations, right? I wouldn't say no to the idea of a Killzone TV show. I don't expect it to ever happen, but I'm kind of intrigued by the idea, you know? Like, for anyone who's played Killzones, they'll know what I'm talking about. Like, Killzone, I don't know, sometimes gets a bad rap. I think Killzone 3 to this day is one of the best FPSs ever made. The level of immersion, the diversity of levels and experience, like, the signs of a good game is one that manages to have you do something different every single time you load up. And that's what that's what Killzone 3 rather done better than almost any FPS I can recall. Okay, so let me. Yeah, I really need to put a volume tuner on my my Stream Deck. Make that a little bit quicker. So let me get the game up that we're going to be starting with, because I noticed that Beastie, QE, and Recon had a few run-ins on the ladders, so I thought we'd check in on them. One of them, we'll quit the glaze over. It was a very quick victory for Recon. It was a 2-minute victory. I don't know what happened there. I'm presuming there was like some sort of early kill. And then he was like, screw this. Either that or there's disconnect. But we're going to be opening up with 4 lakes for I believe it's going to be, if I remember correctly, it should be Japanese versus Order of the Dragon. And then we've also got a Dry Arabia game, which is Byzantines versus Chinese. So let's start off with the Japanese versus OOTD. I don't know about Fallout 5, but Fallout 6 will be fought with sticks and stones. Nani? Well, isn't there... I can't remember if they confirmed it. There was rumors about a Fallout London, wasn't there? Did that ever come into confirmation? I think it did, right? Oh, someone creating a conversion mod, isn't it? That's kind of interesting, though. Like, so yeah, it was a team hired by Bethesda. So Team Folan. I mean, that's kind of intriguing. Like, for anyone who actually follows the Fallout world, they'll know that so far Fallout's only really explained itself within the confines of America, and even there, it's like a little bit split on what's canon and what is true and accurate and whatnot, right? So, quite an intriguing one. Sup, Dradloose? Alright, so we'll give people another minute or two as we talk to just funnel in, and then we'll kick off with the first cast of the day. But yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy just pimping it out as well, because I haven't played Fallout 3 since PlayStation 3. I have it on PC. I think I opened it for like an hour, but it's because I played it so much on PS3 I didn't care. So I'm going to have fun just big pimping it, you know? Graphic overhaul, maybe adding in some quality of life perks, whatnot. I think I played 3 of the 5 DLCs. I definitely done Anchorage. I loved Anchorage. Fallout 4, I only played a few hours of. I've never really got that deep, so I really need to find time at some point. New Vegas was another one where I think I played the crap out of the base game, and then I just never got around to playing the expansion. So once again, something to explore there, because there was wasn't there like a whole new map they added in Fallout New Vegas? Am I remembering that correctly? Expansion map? Let's have a look. I could have sworn, or was it that it was canned? Maybe it was canned. I could have sworn there was like a whole new area, right? That you have to go to that kind of roots more heavily in with the Caesar's clan. Am I remembering that correctly? I could have sworn there was. Wait, did they add the new Vegas map to Fallout 4 as well? What? I mean, that's one way to try and like save it. Because people, like, I feel like people had found Fallout 4 very polarizing, right? It wasn't a home run like the previous ones. New Vegas to me just had like, I feel like it just didn't get the right marketing behind it. New Vegas was incredible. I think New Vegas was the best one with the modern ones. The thing about New Vegas is it posed a layer of challenge which was simply not present in the other games, right? It's not to discredit the stories or the immersion or whatever, but in terms of raw difficulty and options within those difficulties, I think New Vegas won by a mile there. You can even do the survivor mode thing, right? Where you had to eat and drink or you die. But I distinctly remember one run through of New Vegas. I left the starting city. I walked out the left side of the starting city, and then I got murdered by bloatflies. And it's like, oh, the game has baited you here. There are two ways you can go, and one of them, absolutely you should not be going. Because that was the short way to New Vegas. Okay, so let me... Oh, God, I just accidentally opened some in the background. Hopefully, the two-stream setup is going to be the way to go, and hopefully it's going to be less laggy today. Let me just close a few things in the background in the meantime, and then we can get ready to go. Okay. I think that works. There are three ways, two of them just murder you. Yeah, isn't one bloatflies and the other one is through the center where there's death claws, right? Dude, my memory of games is fantastic. Just gonna brag and flex that. There's so many pieces I can remember, even now. And I haven't played New Vegas, basically, since it released. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Let me get us in game then. I knew there was something I forgot to do. I've got to pull down that trim. Anyone excited for Manor I was glimpsing some people playing it yesterday. I don't know what it was. There was something that just felt off, right? Like, everyone was hyping this up, something like Stronghold or whatever. I was like, it's not going to be like Stronghold. It's going to be more like Anno. But even by, like, Anno standards, I don't know if it's good or bad. It feels like everything is insanely loose. But it's not loose. That was the weird part to me, is it still uses kind of a grid-based system, quite similar to Anno. It's just... it looked kind of poorly defined, if that makes sense. So it's very difficult to kind of discern what the hell I was looking at when I was glimpsing on some people's streams. I don't know if you guys would want to see it getting played by me or not. I mean, I do want to find more strategy games to include on the channel. So maybe we'll look into Manor Lords. Manor Lords made by one... Wait, was it one guy? I thought it was a team. I thought it was a team of like 20 people. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Like, I am a little bit worried Manor Lords is just going to die on the vine because of overhype. And based on what I've seen to begin with, I'm like, it looks okay, especially if it's a one-guy crew. It doesn't look like it's going to be innovating anything in the genre, though. Well, you knew when I saw these two playing, I had to get in on it. Especially considering how their playstyles have changed. That's right, we've got Recon versus BC, a matchup that historically takes about an hour per game. But what makes this interesting is the fact that BC's always maintained this idea that he only goes where the other player wants to go, right? He doesn't just aim to get an hour into a game, he's just not afraid to go there. Now, what makes that interesting is if that's truly how Beastie likes to play the game, then Recon up here is going to make these quickies, because Recon has more recently been very fixated on this idea of early aggressive presence to end games. I remember talking to him at the start of the year. He thought 2024 was actually going to be defined mostly by Dark Age plays and opening Rax plays for most cities. So excited to see what he's got in mind for us when we hop into a map like Four Lakes in a Japanese Order of the Dragon matchup. Now, that's an interesting one to see on Four Lakes, right? Order of the Dragon as a Civ that's cousin makes a lot of sense here. HRE has been one of the most dominant picks on this map, actually, alongside the likes of Chinese and Rus. But Order of the Dragon just kind of got glazed over. We've cast several games now on Four Legs. We see a lot of Japanese. We still see a lot of HRE, a lot of Chinese, even a little bit of Zhuji here or there, and occasionally some Abbasids. But what we don't see are the Dragons. So I'm curious what Beastie's got in mind here, especially considering I'm pretty sure Beastie didn't rate this Civ that highly in his most recent tier lists. If I'm not mistaken, he, like most players, put it quite low. The only player that ranked the Order of the Dragon highly was Vortex, but he didn't win the tournament, so we won't talk about that any deeper. Japanese, on the other hand, makes a lot of sense on these type of maps. I'm actually a really big fan of them on water hybrid maps. The nerf to the Coca Township kind of felt needed when it comes to water maps. Unfortunately, it made it an unviable landmark on land maps. Cool thing, though, is still on the water maps, even with the 21 seconds delay, in a lot of situations, you can still do significant damage, and this is definitely one of them. The reason why I really like Japanese for Four Lakes is with the Shinobi timing, you can actually block out your opponent's second lake and get your dock in on a delay. So that means you don't have to rush in blind and RNG whether you get scouted and killed. Instead, you can come in on a delay when the Shinobi's there, set up the dock, just perma-ban the dock that got placed there from spawning anything, and then all of a sudden you can play a 3 versus 1 lake advantage, which is pretty killer actually on Four Lakes. There's not many civs that can get away with just playing on the 1. I think HRE is one of those civs though, because they still have a very powerful timing in the mid game. And in fairness, we are looking at, in some ways, a better HRE. I think there's some areas they tick better boxes of. Technically, if you go Arkan, which I wouldn't be surprised to see here, their base gathering rate is better. It's possible looking at mine work. It depends whether Beastie wants to try and apply pressure in feudal early castle. Because if it's feudal early castle, mine work makes a lot more sense. If you're thinking you're going to go deep into the game where the fishing isn't going to be good enough on its own, that's where the Arkan Chapel will be sorely missed. Oh, you guys do want Manolo streams. I'll have to think about it. I'll have to look into it. So, Recon. I'm wondering in this matchup, is there any merit to hanging in feudal? My initial instinct is no. My follow-up instinct is hell no. And the final instinct is, what are you thinking? I think for Recon, it makes a lot of sense just to get the Shinobi pressure in and then just try to get up to castle. Then again, you know, Shinobi's kind of an unexplored quantity in these situations. If you think about it, they're very high base damage. They might not be a bad solution when laid in with things like Onabagisha in a prolonged feudal, even against things like Men at Arms. Still, is a bit of a gamble, and it would require Beastie basically microing like a goldfish, because if you do layer in someone like Onabagisha, Shinobi will still be at the front. So then your only option is what? Hardened Samurai? I mean, that hardens my heart to any love I could have for the Japanese in this game. Hardened Samurai, I feel like one of the most underwhelming units you can get. You know, you think about the early Men at Arms plays for a lot of civs, that kind of makes sense, but there's something about the Japanese Samurai option that just doesn't really hit the same, and I'm not sure what it is. I think it's probably the economical element. Civs that have Men at Arms usually have better eco-scaling at this point in the game in Feudal Age. You could argue that actually if you upgrade your Shogunate, you build a lot of farms, Japan can get there, but the timing doesn't align compared to, say, the HRE, the English. Like, HRE and English, when they build Men at Arms at an early phase, they've got this bolted economy with the Arkan or with the cheap farms. You don't really have that same unlock timing as the Japanese. So we are going to get mine work on the other side. Now, reminder, this is a guy that on normal HRE said he can never ever understand there ever being any single reason why you would want to go mine work over Arkan. So there's a lot that he's actually going for the mine work here. A big part of why should be the fact that, in fairness, a lot of your gathering rate that you benefit from the Arkan is locked into the villager itself. 28% in fact. The other interesting detail is actually a specific tech you get uniquely to the mine work palace, and that's the golden cuirass that buffs the Men at Arms. I think we will be looking at feudal pressure coming from Beastie. Recon in the meantime. Wait, has he snuck a dock? You cheeky. He has. On the east side. Oh, that's unfortunate for Beastie as well, because that's the lake where he's set up already. So there's going to be a lot of pressure coming in there. Second dock should be able to count that out, and it looks like, yes, Recon may have whoopsied here. He got scouted. A little bit too close with the build point. Means there will be a reaction in time for Beastie. Initial strike is, of course, going to favor Recon here, though, and that's going to be at least one fishing boat going down. No doubt about it. You can't micro these all to safety, right? 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 Oh, he's going to dance for it, though. Sprawl Ship is now on the way, but we're going to see that Recon is ahead of him. So this is going to be disadvantageous until Beastie starts to kind of scale up on the eco. Then it's double dock versus one, but that's where the Shinobi are the magic that keeps on happening here. Recon can disable this dock and prevent double production worth. However, Recon, one thing I don't like here is the fact that he hasn't got a second Shinobi being produced. I think that's a critical error. In this situation, being double dock versus one, and that's something you should be aware of, right? Like, you need to make sure that it's constricted to a one-on-one. Otherwise, over time, Beastie will be able to build up a defense here. Demo ship coming in, not going to work. Fishing boats are going to be sacrificed, though, for Beastie to try and keep this alive, so good pressure so far by Recon. Even gets the archer ship away. Great body block as well to ensure there's no chase. Other lakes are completely uncontested. They're about as quiet and as calm as can be. Notice that Recon had not set up his Northern Lake yet. He's now going back for that. So we'll get scaling into 2 fishing lakes. Remember, the Japanese can do this very efficiently. So although the Order of the Dragon have much better gathering on land, the reality is the Japanese balance that out is the fact that they don't have to really spend as much on getting the economy online, right? They get a 30 wood discount per fishing boat. Now, one interesting thing actually to think about here is that Undermesh and Steeled Arrow are very easily accessible for Beastie. It's not a lot, but it actually does help somewhat against these archer ships that can sometimes be the difference. I'm not expecting him to rush towards it. It's the type of tech that would only get value 8 or 9 archer ships in, and realistically, you're never going to have that many on a single lake. Time being, though, it's like Sprawl ships. I'm going to try to pressure. Archer ship is coming in as well. Second Sprawl does come out for Recon. However, he loses both at the same time. Demo and Gathering on the backside go down. Great micro there by Beastie. And now a scary point in this lake for Recon. He's trying to get the arrow slits in. This, by the way, is why I favor Japanese and Juji so much on water hybrid maps. The ability to very easily and casually get into stone gathering and arrow slits as a result is a powerful tool. Unfortunately for Recon, Beastie's timing is too quick here. It's going to be a mop-up of what's left in the area. Demo ships are now shuffling in to make sure that Recon can't contest here. And at this point, I'd say Recon's best way of winning this is to get the hell out of this age. Arrow slits at least do get in. Let's go for a demo play instead. Recon? Recon. Buddy. Someone start the motor. We need to get moved. Double demo in, though, and that should be the end of Recon shenanigans. No villagers are going to be in the area to be able to repair. He's already shifted over to the west side instead to move the aggro elsewhere in this game. Now, the interesting detail, though, is Beastie got the breathing room to go for those men-at-arms we talked about. First one's hitting the field. This is scary. These men-at-arms, I mean, the Shinobi can realistically kite and kill over time. The problem I have is your heal rate is so slow. It's difficult to actually keep this men-at-arms from doing damage, right? You need several Shinobi that you kind of interchange. Otherwise, what will just happen is over time, you'll idle out and this guy will go in. Flash on the left side is going to start with the archer ships, of course. More fishing boldly coming from Beastie first, actually. And looks like there is an attempt by the Shinobi to get cheeky. In the meantime, Scout does reveal that the Gilded Men-at-Arms, rather, is on his way. Second one being queued up as well, so Beastie is most definitely going in on that field timing. This is scary for Recon. If you think about it from a scaling perspective, you don't really have an advantage here. You know, your Shinobi will not win on one-on-ones. They take 23 seconds to produce. Meanwhile, your opponent produces his chunky men-at-arms in 27 seconds, right? So it's just a matter of time if we get outscaled, because with double lake, this could easily turn into double racks. And that's when it feels like an absolute GG. I mean, this already feels bad, right? One Shinobi versus one men-at-arms should never win. For that exact reason. 1.25 attack speed, 1.12. Damage difference, actually not that big when you think about the redux, right? Because you're hitting for 20 damage. Base obviously goes up by more, so 25 total, but you're losing 3 of that, right? So you're down to 22 already, and then you're taking 14 in return. 230 HP versus 80. It's a hard fight, guys. I actually think Recon needed more Shinobi to try and contest this, because now he's in trouble. Look at the gathering. Gold's getting idled out. He has at least got the amount he'd need for a tech up, but he wouldn't have much beyond that. Now, Beastie, with the delayed trigger being pulled here, does shift out for the dock. Sabotage at least going to delay the reaction there, but now Recon has to dance on his home lakes. He has at least blocked out the south side, so that's looking good there. East side is still free to fish up a storm, though. Recon, what is the move here? It looks like he's going to sneak for the mid-map resources. Unfortunately, Beastie seems to be fully aware of this. Village is moving north side to contest the pond there. There is at least going to be an outpost going up, but I think we're going to be seeing some idle time. No, you've got to be kidding me. The worst possible location and timing there. Beastie probably looks to pressure the left side here, right? You could even think about diving. Remember, he has got the golden cuirass, who lost a long time. Weirdly enough, no, though. Beastie just waiting. March begins. Okay, guys, I don't think Recon's going to get this up. He needed to build Shinobi. This was far too greedy. Oh my god. The crazy thing is just with one pond here, really, the men-at-arms spam should be good enough to idle this out indefinitely. I think Recon's going to have to make the hard choice just to commit. And it might just kill him. What is up, Crackety? Thank you very much for the raid, my friend. You came in just in time to find out how broken all the dragons might be on 4 legs. This is incredibly obnoxious. I mean, this has been the kind of focal point, the idea of just how strong these men-at-arms can be. I think the reason why I could see Order the Dragon working on a map like this, but not a map like Holy Island, is on the Holy Island, you have to commit so much into defending your water, right? Whereas here, once you've locked in a corner, it's just unlimited food churn for very expensive units. And Recon has finally bit the bullet. He's accepted what it's going to be, but it's going to be an absolute massacre. Several villagers going down. The rest are going to try to run into safety. That's just slowed down the build speed. Oh, Recon, no. This is not the way. This might be too many men-at-arms now. Tech Up is at least going to complete, surely. But the price is insanely high in this game. Goes in for the final tap of the hammer, but that's going to be more villagers chopped down. Recon may be up in Castle Age, but he's now down in villager count. Did I know that overall stats, not including Conqueror, OTD has one of the highest win rates? Yeah, I'm not surprised. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense, right? I think also at lower ranks, people tend to commit into a certain unit type without seeing what they're meant to react to. And the way Order of the Dragon works is they get a bigger edge if you incorrectly react to their unit type, right? On top of that, I could easily see a lot of people engaging men-at-arms. You have to remember these early gilded men-at-arms are essentially car slave men-at-arms, right? So players just trying to A-click into them with one unit at a time are always going to lose out. Now, speaking of these particular MAA, Recon is at least going to get the mop up. But my god, the price has been high. There's been raiding over here. There's been raiding in the ponds. In fact, in the last 2 minutes, Recon lost all fishing. He's only got the south side. Wow. What a foul strike. And now, here's the disgusting part. Usually, I would condone this action. I think this is atrocious to do. You're on age behind his Order of the Dragon against Japanese. BC is going to build Spearmen to contest Mount Samurai. This is terrible. The reason it's bad is because the Spearmen of the Order of the Dragon are always outnumbered in this situation, which means they get stunned while the Mount Samurais attack them, right? But this isn't your standard format, folks. This is one where Recon now has absolutely no fishing to work with, bar what, 6, I think it is? Yeah, 5 fishing boats in total. Meanwhile, BC has so much food coming in the bank in his future, he could even just stay feudal and pump infinite spears. Now, that's not going to be his goal. He's just going to get a bunch together and go for the tech up. But afterwards, think about the Zerg here. The irony of actually, after Castle Stage being reached, the Japanese being the one getting Zerged, and not just any Zerg. These truly are going to be Zerg toss. That's all right. Big mistake there on the micro. Recon. Unnecessary damage done. Won't really be able to hang around too much. Keep in mind also, he's only now playing out for the first relic, right? I mean, I should hope so. So he got delayed pretty heavily by that men-at-arms action. In fact, I don't even see the Monk making a move, which is worrying me a bit here. Regnit's now on the way. Recon doesn't really look ready for the Castle Age, We're talking about 60 military versus 39. Now, of course, a lot of that is in boats, but actually a decent count of it is about to be on land. We're going up to double-digit spears as Order of the Dragon before Japanese even have 10 mounted samurai. That is an atrocious sign for the coming minutes for Recon. And now the switch up into samurai might seem like a good idea, but what you guys need to remember is that Recon doesn't really have the level of food income that would enable him to spam like crazy with this comp. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if BC just A-brains it with mass meta arms. Realistically, he should be going Gilded Crossbowman. Gilded Crossbowman is the easy way of winning this, but he's in such a commanding position. I think any unit comp could work here. Tech out complete. Game about to get very spooky, folks. I wonder if he even gets to keep this for long. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if BC maybe just builds a Sprinkle and starts sniping these all down. I think instead he might just look to go for the kill, right? Why take away the flanks when you can easily just end the game? We mentioned at the start of this game that BC sees himself as a player that reacts to the state that his opponent offers him. He doesn't always look for this hyper late game. So cutting away at this small pond to the south would just be unnecessarily extending the game when you're so strong on land. One relic already returned for Recon. This one is not going to be so lucky, though. Oh, the Shindo's like, whoops. Yep, no, I wasn't here. Don't know what you guys are looking at. Beastie, in the meantime, is now producing mass prelates, so he will be looking to grab those. I wonder if he goes for Inspired Warriors here. It's interesting, actually, because if you play Inspired Warriors with men at arms, you kind of get an Odachi buff if you think about it, right? Because you go up to, I believe it's 16 damage, if I'm not mistaken. Might be 18. Yeah, I think it's 18. So you go up to 18 damage, then you get 15% on top. That's going to be an extra like 2.5, 2.8. Flash coming in the meantime, though. Wallow is going to be a whiff. The spin will be able to chase this away. Men-at-arms are completely unfazed right now because one big problem here is Recon doesn't have enough samurai to get Odachi yet. He doesn't see the value in it, which means he's absolutely getting slapped in these fights. Spearman also just having higher base damage than you has to be depressing. Recon has at least got some string replacements coming through, but the problem is this many troops with the torches out could burn this all down. In fact, I would be as happy as can be if heavy torches was in. Unfortunately, it's not. Doesn't really matter, though. We'll still just blitz through these. And in fact, Recon, how is the gold looking back at home? He's still got 2.5k gold to work with there, but he's about to lose access to his backup afterwards. I don't know about this one, folks. Recon is about to essentially revert to tower defense simulator to try and stay alive. The problem is the torch rate of Order of the Dragon is so insanely fast, I don't see how any level of static defense protects you, especially considering you can't access castles until Imperials do, Japanese. If you get Warlaw an army, maybe, but unlikely to happen here. Just has to run that relic home. So it looks like it's going to be a 2-3 relic split. That's at least the good side of things for Recon. The bad side is this meat grinder is not getting smaller. It's only getting bigger. My, oh my. So what is the way out in this game for Recon? I think he's going to need to sneak a second TC. That's a non-negotiator at this point. The problem is, because he went Coca Township, if he goes second TC, where's he getting his food, right? He needs the Daimyo levels to get a farm transition ready. On that layer, he's also screwed up his spawn here, where he barely has any room for farms. You know, this is the tough part about Coca Township. Coca Township really is a statement of, if I lose water, I've lost the game. It's very rarely not that case. And unfortunately for Recon, there's no denying the fact that he lost water. He put up a good fight initially, but Beastie peeled him back piece by piece and made it look so easy. Now that we find ourselves in this situation where you simply can't match the mass, it feels like the next fight will be his last. Stands his ground in the center. Luckily for him, this is not the Lance next yet. Unluckily for him, they have been queued up. And those Lance will annihilate the Samurai. And it is only Samurai we're looking at here, folks. Odachi tech has at least come through, so that's the good news. The bad news is there's so many things that are going to tank in this formation. It's going to be very hard to focus fire down Gilded Lansk. Because Gilded Lansk have about as much health, actually more health, than a Samurai. Rotations on the flanks, and Recon is fast going to be running out of food here, folks. He needs these berry patches. The deer near his base might be a decent backup solution. He's still got some berries at home. But after that, he has to play out for Pumbaa and play out for berries, and that simply doesn't look like it's going to be on the table for Recon here. Gilded Crossbowman now coming in. The perfect counter to everything that Recon's going to try to rely on to defend here. Mass Onabagisha, for anyone wondering, is just not doable. It's way too expensive at this stage. For a guy who has sub 1,000 food income, you're just not going to get the numbers together. Especially when your opponent has double the food. Charge comes in. Shinto just trying to keep the front line alive, but they just die way too quickly here. I mean, that's going to be it. He's going to have to go GG after this. The gold is getting idled out. More villagers being massacred. The army simply just doesn't match up to scratch. Any game where you find the Dragon player has more raw military entities than you do, you know you're in for a hard time. What a cool game, man. BC just showing you why he's to be feared on 4 legs. This was surgical, the way that he just moved piece to piece. He allowed Recon to move first, but the reaction was perfect. And from there on out, I feel like BC's been in full control of this game. Whew. But you know what? Recon is going to get a chance of vengeance. There were multiple games played between these two, and we will definitely be checking in on the other. Ooh, cool game. Cool game to open up. Guys, was the stream smooth, by the way? How did the stream look compared to, not yesterday, it would have been Friday? Better or worse? Same? I'm hoping for same, at least. Because I'm using the 2 PC setup now. So hopefully it looked a lot better. How did Japanese deal with land snakes? It's a tough one. I think probably Mounted Samurai is your best way. Wait, is it really lagging, guys? Jesus. Okay. 1 second then. That's very surprising. It shouldn't be on a 2 PC setup. Wait, can I change my settings without restarting? Apparently so. Okay. So let me tweak the settings quickly, and then hopefully it'll be a bit smoother for you guys. In fact, I'll change this setting as well. Bring the bitrate down just a tiny sliver to make sure it's not choking Twitch's end. Hopefully that'll be a lot better now. So we'll hop into the next one, and fingers crossed it'll be a lot smoother for you guys. Wait, is Doubt back on AoE 4? Or am I being trolled? Who is it who keeps signing in and changing the name between Viper and Doubt? I don't think this is Doubt. Unless it is. Might be. Not sure. Is he on a losing streak? I don't know. Last time we cast him was 2 days ago. Winning. So the goal is, if you just don't cast Voldemar's games, then, you know, technically he never won. That's how it works. We will be casting some Voldemar games later today, though, guys. We have got a show match in 3.5 hours? Should be 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours from now, we're going to have a best of 7 between Voldemar and Myriad. So mark it in your calendar. Make sure you're here. You don't want to miss it. So next up, though, what you don't want to miss, we've got Byzantines versus Chinese. This is a really good matchup for the Byzantines, actually. I've highlighted this a few times before. Byzantines destroy the Chinese. The problem is that the Byzantines have really good pressure points in Feudal Age, and in Castle Age, they annihilate your comps because of land snake spam. Because, you know, although we've seen a lot more players going for the Marlin contract, I think this is one of the matchups where the Western contract is still miles better. It gives you Lombos, which are decent in the late game with the volley ability. Gives you an ability to actually just shut down before it even reaches that point as well. Because typically Chinese players revolve around this idea of a static comp to defend. My mental warfare division worked. Oh yeah, we're going to be spicing that up. 1 sec, actually. I need to send my Discord. Actually, let me... Smack Talk Central is what we'll call it. And I need to put permissions on it. Just give me a sec. Do it now, otherwise I'll forget it later. So, we'll let people view the channel. We'll manage it. Isn't there one for entering? I think there's an option for entering. Ah, screw it. I'll use one of my other channels I can figure it out later. I really need to get a mod or two for Discord to manage it. So I don't have to worry about that stuff. Let's delete the channel. Use one of our existing. Yeah, I'm going to slap Myriad and Voldemar in a Discord channel, and basically while they're playing the series, while they're drafting the series, while they're doing everything really, they're going to be in a room with each other, uncomfortably so. And then occasionally, when we're doing the cast, we're going to go in for a listen-in to see what's being said by them. Have you casted any of the games of Rank 5? Don't know who it is. Rank 5, isn't that Louis? Let me check. Oh, Ronnie. Oh, dude, Ronnie is Zern. That's Zern. Yeah, we've cast Ronnie games before. Onimusha's or Nabigisha, also prolonged feudal with 2TC. Wait, what was this? Against... Oh, what? Against the... Against the Landsknecht. You could even, like... Yeah, if they go meta arms, you go Onimusha. If they're massing Spearman, okay, this kind of sound weird, but... Imagine you see they've done Spearman in reaction to Mount Samurai, and you open up with a follow-up with Yumi. Because you have the movement speed to stay away from them, right? So you get bonus damage against the spears, and then you can even target down the lance. It's not the worst of ideas, actually. Will there be a bet? Maybe. Probably do some bets. So... Let me get the game ready anyway. We'll hop in and talk about this one, because I think this is an interesting matchup. All right, let me know if it ends up running smoothly. Fingers crossed it should be. So this is a matchup that I think heavily favors Recon. One and all, welcome back to Day Before Action. We've got Beastie Cutie on the Chinese in the green, and he's going to need that green to camouflage into the back setting to hide from the powerhouse that is the Byzantines in the hands of Recon. Why are the Byzantines favored here? Well, this is quite interesting, actually. The Byzantines, the reason I really like them up against the Chinese is the opening Lombo play applies pressure with the Western contract. This comes in insanely early, but it's just step one on the route. The cool thing about the Byzantines in this matchup right now is they can very efficiently idle you out and block your eco advantages as the Chinese while managing to reach their true win condition, which is Castle Age. And what makes the idea of a Lombo opening so good here is if you think about the way that most Chinese players survive super aggro-focused civs in Castle Age, it's the idea of defending inside your base, Nesta Bees, and Mass Spears, or Palace Guard. Either one of those is not going to work against a Western contract Byzantine player. The reason is that they can just get into Landsknecht and Varangian and completely envelop you. So, curious to see if Recon wants to go that way, because I think that is the standardized meta right now. I know a lot of players have been leaning into the idea of the Javelins. If Recon does decide to go for the Jav contract, my perspective is what he's done to himself is he's put a win condition of Feudal Age over Castle Age. If I'm being totally real on this, I think that's a negative thing to do. Castle Age is just the be-all, end-all for Byzantines. Is it possible to end games in Feudal Age? Yes. Should that be your default behavior? No. You should be assessing whether your opponent is stronger in Castle, and if they're not, that is your number one goal. Because as we've noticed, even with the cost of Varangian, which I know certain players are not a big fan of, overall, that unit is decimating the enemy forces. Part of it due to the production rate, and part of it actually due to the efficiency with the irrigation. Opening-wise, how are we doing on scouting? Oh, what? All right, stick him in the trash can and get him out of my sight. I can't believe that. Beastie on the Chinese, and he only has 5 sheep compared to Recon already at 11. That's an insane start for Recon. Guys, this is not something that's typically meant to happen in this matchup. The Chinese are heavily favored in most matchups from a sheep haul perspective. The logic being, because they're able to scout wider because their vision. They're able to see the sheep before you. They can even see your scout and then not reveal themselves while knowing where you are. So those are very big advantages at high level play, Conk Plus, which is where we are here, right? Like we're talking about two players that were at the last Rebel Wallalow. These are two of the best people in the game. But yeah, despite how powerful the Chinese are meant to be, BC's best case scenario is going to be equal on sheep count. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to end up behind. No. Where are you going? Oh, no. Are you kidding me? I can't believe that. That should have been double the sheep haul of his opponent. Instead, because Recon decided to just dart into the center instead of checking the corner, Beastie is actually going to be able to recover his food count. So well played. Going to be 10 sheep to 10 here. Now, of course, both sides have different advantages. The cool thing about 10 sheep versus 10 sheep for the Chinese player, you're actually not 10 sheep versus 10 sheep, guys. You're 12 sheep versus 10 sheep. Remember, when you supervise, you're getting 20% more food on drop-off. The weird part about this build for Beastie, though, I've noticed a few players experimenting with this. He went for the Imperial Academy first, no Imperial Official. Now, I've talked to a few players about this, and they seem to be hard divided. I remember when I talked to Crackety, for example, he was of the feeling that it's never worth... or he couldn't see the way that it was worth doing this. The builds just didn't seem to be optimal on timing, and it seemed like it was sacrificing a lot of food. I lean into the camp of having the Imperial Official early is better, because what you're doing is taking a finite source and making it last longer, right? If you delay the Imperial Official coming out until you've teched up, you've already eaten 3-4 sheep. That's permanent food just removed from the map. And it forces, on average, an earlier farm transition timing than you'd otherwise have to face. Now, sure, you are getting an extra villager, but realistically, you've got to balance, is that one extra villager important for a civ like the Chinese, who's usually going Song Dynasty, or is delaying the farm transition more important? I think most players would lean into the secondary camp, especially when they're facing down the barrels of a Byzantine shotgun. And what am I looking at here? You know, I feel like Recon is the only player I see doing this right now. He opens Grand Winery and then still commits Horseman. A lot of players that I've been watching at the moment don't really bother with Horseman unless they went Hippodrome. You either open Horseman or don't touch them at all. It's kind of crazy, though. I do quite like it. The reason why it's a cool idea here, guys, is the Horseman with Expilatores against any civ that booms eco are jackpots, right? Abbasids, Chinese. Any civ that essentially has about a 90% likelihood of dropping 2 TCs, Expilatores Horsemen are insane against. So, pretty cool idea there. Without the Triumph, you're not going to kill insanely fast, but the cool thing actually about Expilatores in particular is it takes you from a 5-hit to kill to a 4-hit to kill. Sorry, a 6-hit to kill to 5-hit to kill. If you get the Blacksmith upgrade as well, you're borderline 4, right? Because 4 hits would do 48 damage at that stage. But when you've got these Lombos tickling and the Horsemen diving in, it's a nice little combo to have together. Another kind of interesting thing to remember here as well, by the way, is Expilatores gives you gold when you kill workers and gives you bonus damage against workers. Right now, bar the Scout, everything that exists in BC base is workers. Right? The Imperial Officials have that tag as well. Barbkin dropped on the gold, so Beastie looks like he's just rushing Castle Age. Actually, yeah. It's a pretty cool idea here, right? Like, you don't want to contest Lombo Horseman opener, you're just not going to beat that. The problem is, when you think about the comparative economies, right now, Song only just came online. You haven't got a big eco lead. Your opponent has kind of mirrored your Imperial Official buff in a way, in that you get 20% more of a resource on drop-off from Supervision. He's getting 20% of a different resource when he gathers from berries and olives, right? So then you add in the extra 10%, or likely 14, 18% at this stage in the game, and it makes sense why BC is seeing his win condition as Castle Age. Pretty clear read, actually. Got a bit of poke and prod on the flanks. It's going to be nice to remove this. There's another reason why I quite rate Horsemen play highly when it comes to Feudal Age. There's no other unit in the game that can strip Scout Vision from the map permanently. If he can get rid of Scout, BC's riding blind here into Castle. Where is Recon's eco at the moment? His food income doesn't seem on the mark. Okay, that's why. Yeah, so he's actually going for a full olive grove transition quite early. Usually we see this delayed a bit more. Yo, what's up, Schlump Finchin? Thank you very much for the Prime Gaming sub. Welcome to Swarm, buddy. You should take advantage of that Prime subscription to get your hands on the Fallout games, by the way. Horseman riding in. Outpost wait. No, it's just about the food. There's no way you go for a TC now when you're this close to Castle Age. Looks like he did buy enough time to get the outpost up. Unfortunately, with no stone, you don't really do anything against these longbows. Recon really just needs to keep pressing this. He shouldn't allow any stone gathering whatsoever in this game. Instead, he starts to back up. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that hesitation there. There's realistically no reason why you wouldn't pressure this outpost. The outpost just doesn't have the same range as longbows, right? So you can move in, poke, move out. Move in, poke, move out. Did we actually get Explorators in the end as well? No. By the time you have 10, Explorators can make a bit of sense, but now that you're facing Spearman, he might just want to try to avoid it altogether. One interesting part to me is the fact that Recon didn't get Explorators, but he did actually get Trapezites. Trapezites is the one that gives increased torch damage to all nearby units, remember? So, pretty cool idea. Should allow him to blitz through the outpost quite quickly. Speaking of which, we now have double outpost up. Unfortunately, Recon, because he doesn't have undermesh, diving these defenses now isn't feasible. One interesting thing that has happened here, though, Beastie is shied away from just going Castle Roar. He was getting very close, and then he slowed it down because this double outpost to secure the berries, because he ran out of sheep so quickly. It's kind of crazy, right? You'd think he would have had enough sheep there to get the tech up pretty cleanly, but this is the reality. Is like when you spend double Feudal Age investment, right, because you go Barbican plus the Imperial Academy, you're probably going to be running on fumes by the time you're looking at Castle with a 50-50 split of sheep. Looks like he's going to pull the trigger soon, though. And Recon, Longbows plus Horsemen, can they hold this? Even with Steeled Arrow, I feel like it would be difficult. You're probably just better off teching up, right? You've started to set up the farms. You're looking pretty nice at home. Sometimes we do see 2 TC on a delay from Byzantine players to just amplify them into mass lands in it later. But right now you have good map control. Your opponent has gone 1 TC castle. Interestingly enough, Recon is going to try to pressure, though. We've got a Kyro Siphon coming in. Most players in this position would just say, I have map control, I take the tech up. Because this is a 1 TC Chinese player with no play onto the map. Recon doesn't want to give that over for free, though. So tech up is going to complete. Kyro Siphon is about to be complete as well. Recon is definitely still going for castle, but clearly wants to punish because his opponent went there first. Right now, guys, you look at the game right at this moment. Who do you think has control of the game? 2's for Byzantines, 1's for Chinese. Who would you favor to take the win here? Because we've now got Palace Guard coming out. They do have less armor than standard men-at-arms, but they gap close insanely fast. And do not mistake this Golden Glow for something OP. It is only Trapezites. Then again, when you're trying to blitz down strong defenses, that might be a decent difference. Horseman marching in. This is an expensive dive, though. I mean, you already lost, what, 3 horsemen to this? 4th one going down soon? Even with Undermesh, you don't survive very long here. Spearman are going to be able to push this back. Problem is you can't fall too far back, right? Otherwise, the Kyro Siphon is definitely going to go down. Lombos are moving back in range. They idled out to build a second ram here. Recon, is he even going castle this game? He's gradually flowing the resources towards it, but this is a heavy investment that's keeping him back in feudal. However, look what's happening behind this. Food is now running out, so all of a sudden Beastie has to start taking risks in a game where he's only 1 TC. That means you don't have this insane villager lead that you can afford to throw away villagers in. Remember, this is also deceptive. Imperial Academy count, right? He's been getting some of these taxmen. So 3 of these aren't villagers. So he only has a 3 villi lead right now. I'd argue Recon is ahead. By quite a bit. Lumber Camper coming in. Marketplace going to be gone as well. So all of a sudden the ability to buy into extra food is gone. And you have to win with this army you have. 10 Palace Guard isn't bad, but against this many Lombos, it's going to be very hard to gap close. So Beastie needs to delay for longer. He has shifted out into the D on the north side, but that means he's forfeiting more of his base. And with that forfeiture comes new dangers, right? Like, what if Recon tries to fully end the game? He can force that fight quite quickly if he starts committing his landmarks. Here's another scary thought for you guys. Usually the Chinese are dominant at these kind of transitional points because of how quickly they upgrade their armies. Guess who else in this game can do that quickly? The Byzantines. Look how quickly you can get the contract unlocks. In 30 seconds, the Dialecticus even quicker. So this is going to be difficult for BC to punish. He's going to have to be immediately on top of him to do any damage whatsoever. Village goes down. BC needs to replace these on the backside. That's just enough wood to do so. Love the target in the Kyro Siphon as well. Recon clearly noticed there were no additional blacksmith techs coming in. He doesn't want to give these Palace Guard an opportunity to feel chunky. Right now they only have the +1, which is putting them at 4 armor. That means the Lombos are actually doing a pretty impressive 3 out of 7 damage. Now with the veterancy coming through, all of a sudden you get this ability to shred. Recon, happy with the damage he's done. He's going to back up. Doesn't try to target the landmarks. Feels like that would be an overextension here. And remember, this was a Grand Winery build, so now quite easily Recon could just refocus and move out for those relics instead. I am getting a bit concerned that BC's comp is also too one-dimensional. We mentioned that mass Palace Guard, mass spears is the way that Byzantines always win. The interesting detail is Recon's not going to try and win this for the standard reasons, which is spam Varangian and Lansk. He's actually going for crossbows. I find this very intriguing because typically the Varangian is better value, but the logic from Recon's perspective is this is a very open map. He's had to relinquish mid-map control. If he goes for Varangian, he's never going to be able to catch the humans. If he goes for Horseman, however, he can always mirror out the Palace Guard movements. That's a pretty intriguing detail. I wouldn't have expected that here. Barbican slowly being rebuilt. This is so painful, by the way. The idle time is pretty much your entire eco lead. In fact, it is your entire eco lead. On top of that, because you're repairing with more than 3, you're actually using additional wood. So what you're doing right now is you're not only missing all those villages, you're missing additional villages worth of income because of what you're compensating with. So pretty rough circumstance, pretty painful thing to have to do. Kind of made the Kyro Siphon play worth it. Palace Guard. Try to raid the backside. Lombos are just mirroring this out right now. It's only 2 Palace Guard though, so a single villager kill is not really going to make a difference here. There are some raids on the flanks though. Crossbow showing up. Nice chop down there. The first relic is going to get denied. Recon. Big mistake made with the crossbows here, actually. They should be out of position like this. Easiest kills BC could be asking for right now. Rohirrim's riding in, though. Unfortunately, the spearmen are there to mirror it. Even with that detail in mind, I'm getting a bit worried that BC is going to struggle to access food sources soon. Instead of spreading left and right, he's just trying to congest himself and move one side and then the other. Means if Recon ever finds a way of moving up the Lombos, you're in trouble. All along the flank. Not going to work for Beastie, unfortunately. No walls where it really matters still for Recon. He has at least walled the back deer, but his main base isn't really protected. So there is a very big risk that if he runs out now of these Lombos, his Grove area gets dove. It's why I was really hoping that we'd see Recon move into Lansk. Finally, that might be coming. Veterancy is on the way. So far, he's just been playing with a few Lombos. Now, if you're wondering, why didn't Recon rush that upgrade? He had so many Lombos. There's an interesting strategy to this, actually, in that if you do not upgrade your contract, the Golden Horn Tower can only spawn the first tier unit. So if Recon's goal was to actually have Lombo mass and not go Lansk, it was actually a good choice to block himself from upgrading. Now, this is getting more and more interesting. Cataphracts also getting added in. If you're wondering, why does Recon need Cataphracts here? It's very smart from him, actually. This is a golden solution to Nesta Bees. If your opponent ends up with Nesta Bees, you can now trample to get past the front line, even in choke points, and then snipe out the siege. Very big fan of this. I've been tooting my horn, constantly saying that this unit, the Cataphract, is not a heavy cav unit. It's not a French Knight. It's not a Roost Knight. It's none of these things. It's not a Lancer. What it is it's a support unit. It's not meant to be this raiding unit necessarily. It's meant to be something that with good strategic usage in a fight can turn the tides. It's going to cost you, but let's say you throw 2 Cataphracts in and you kill a Nesta Bees, it's going to be worth it. quite nice for actually chasing down the pass guard again, right? Like, it's another layer to that whole idea of why did he stick Horseman? Well, because if he went just into Varangian straight away, he has nothing to mirror the pass guard. So it fits that similar theme. Now, what's interesting is BC has slowed down on PG and gone full into the spears. Problem of which, Recon is now switching up into Varangian. We also do indeed have Lance on the way. By the way, that's actively produced Lance. We are reaching the point in the game that I highlighted at the beginning. The preview I gave to the main course here, the reason why China gets absolutely slapped by the Byzantines time and time again, is about to be seen. If this Lance count goes up to 6 to 9, with Varangian supporting, this army stands no chance. We'll raid to the backside. Looks like Pass Guard are going to leap their way in, but look at this. Wall's not up. It's going to be a dive. Villagers going to have to shift back from this. Barbican is at least repaired. The Recon looking to dive past that. Combo's moving in now. Does see the nest of bees and immediately jumps on it.
BC, oh my god, he ran out with the spears!
What on earth just happened here? An immediate GG. The moment the nest of bees go down, the moment the spears move out of position, Beastie doesn't want to wait around for the aftermath. Guys, this is the importance of timing. I cannot believe that. 10 seconds later, the walls are up. He gets enough time to react to this and get the spears home. But Recon's game sense was on point there. He was sick and tired of being held hostage by those pass guards, so instead, he decides his own fate. The stream's still stuttering? Really? Why is it still stuttering? I don't get this, man. I'm literally using a separate PC. Let me test something. I'm wondering, do I need to restart my stream for this to take effect, maybe? I don't think so. It looks like it's taking effect. Yeah, the bitrate changes are taking effect. Okay, so let's dial the bitrate down more. And then what else I can do is I can set the CPU usage to faster. That should work. Let me check some of the X settings that I've applied, because I applied a X264 options. I don't know if I should have those options on. Freds equals 16, me equal UMH. Sorry guys, just give me a sec. I'll try to make sure this is smooth for you guys. Yeah, the interesting thing is, like, I'm usually doing a 1 PC setup. I hopped onto the 2 one. I'm trying to remember why I set the UMH setting. X264 options. Because I can't remember what me equal UMH done. Just give me a sec, then we'll hop into the next game. We'll try to make sure this isn't laggy for you guys. I'm trying to think of what it could be. All right, let's try the new settings. We'll see if it works. It should be fine. It's very weird that it's having any issues, actually. So, yeah, a little bit puzzled by that. But we'll get through it, folks. Good to get this out of the way now instead of when we're on the Showmatch. Let me check. Is YouTube lagging as well? YouTube is... Let me know if there's any issues on the YouTube side. I'm curious if it's just a Twitch-related issue. which isn't actually a good thing. That's a bad thing. I did notice it popping up saying it had some encoding issues when I looked at the OBS for a second. I'm just not sure why. Like, don't get me wrong. This one has a Ryzen 1700X in, right? So it's quite old. But 1700X for just streaming should be absolutely fine. Okay, so let's have a look here. Why are we trolling Voldemar? We're not, dude. We're just tracking. We're tracking his aspirations, man. We're just tracking his progress. Don't be weird about it. Why are you gonna be weird about it? Don't be weird about it. Okay, so let's have a look here. Who do we want to look at next? So I got BC versus Numadon. Was this like someone said this was a hype game? Was it a hype game though? There's also Louis versus Jean Sakura, Louis versus Miyamaika, Louis versus Giving Anxiety, and Louis versus Wham. We've also got Kiljadi versus Voldemar. Super good though lately. Okay. And that's why we're tracking his progress. I don't see the problem here, Wicked Skies. So, let's see. I think what we'll do, let's do Louis versus Wham, actually. I'm curious. I haven't watched Louis in a few days or so. BC versus Numadon is gold. Is it? Are you sure? Because I'm seeing English versus Chinese. And it's Numadon and Beastie. Which has me a tiny bit skeptical on being baited. You know what I mean? A little sense that it's one of those games. Recon, stop getting farmed, noob. Can you win more? God, just get timing attacks on Beastie like you did in that game. It's not hard. Hey, Recon, on that 4X game against Beastie, do you think you should have just built loads of Shinobis? I'm not sure if it would work. Is learning from your losses against Voldemar and Vortex? Do you just have a weakness against people with V in the name? Because like those are two very different playstyles. Very, very different playstyles, actually. So let me find this game between Wham and Louis. And let me update the title. Maybe we'll have a look at the Beastie Numadon one in a little bit. We've done 2 BC games in a row already, so let's mix it up a teensy tiny bit. What are the playstyles? I think Voldemar can usually play a bit more defensive than what Vortex will. Vortex is very much an all-in player. It's his bread and butter. It's what he does every day of the week. They're both really good at aggression. Sure, I'm not saying Voldemar can't aggro, but what I'm saying, Recon, is when you get in a game versus Voldemar compared to when you get in a game versus Vortex, the expectations are different. You know what I mean? Like, you can almost guarantee that when you land in the game against Vortex, your first thought is, how's he going to try to, like, kill me by 15 minutes? You know what I mean? Not saying that Voldemar isn't going to look for opportunities like that, but I think, as many players do, because Vortex is just on another level with this approach, a lot of players will look for a calculative approach to playing later in the game, whereas Vortex is always just, okay, now's the kill time, right? Like you can almost see with the way he plays, there's no backup plan past that. It either works or he GG's. Okay, so we've changed the encoding settings a little bit. Fingers crossed it's going to work now. Otherwise, we'll have to go back to one PC. I honestly think part of it is on the game as well, by the way. I don't know. Like, the game has been really janky recently. It's weird that it would affect a second streaming PC this way, but fingers crossed this will work smoothly. Maybe I just need to put the ignore stream service settings recommendations back on, and then maybe we'll be fine, but we'll figure it out. Any counter to Japanese in team ranked? You'd have to like iron out the team a bit more than that. It's like targeting one person is bold within that. Japan, civs they struggle against, like Byzantines are actually really good against Japan. Byzantines work really, really well. So that might be a safe bet right now. I also think HRE do a pretty good job. What was that Voldemort count? Disrespectful? It's not disrespectful. It was up to 8 once upon a time. We put it down. What was the bitrate at? I've put the bitrate down to, I think I put 7,000. Which is 700 lower than what it was. So about a 10% decrease. So it shouldn't overload the encoder now, theoretically. Let's find out. Louis versus Wham on Lipany time, and we have got a Japanese Order of the Dragon matchup. This is a fun one, actually. I think on land maps, this kind of has a similar role to what we've seen on water maps, where the Japanese player wants to get out of feudal age, and the Order of the Dragon player wants to drag you around in feudal age. That's kind of true of most matchups at the moment with Order of the Dragon. For those that have not been taking a daily dose of Dragon, I can tell you this Civ does not like the idea of late game. There's a very big issue with kind of maintaining numbers wide across the map. It's an area where I think this Civ just struggles to maintain, especially against Civs like the Japanese that are more kind of Zergy and non-stop pressure focused. And I'm noticing encoder overloaded. Are we smooth, chat? Let me know. Or are we getting lag? Bloody thing. So, scout-wise, let's see how this is going to play out. 9 to 5, so good start already for Louis. Other thing I really like about Japanese on this map, it's a berry civ. Heart and soul, right? They absolutely adore maps that have surplus berries because of the gathering rate being superior than it is on sheep by the time you get your first level of wheelbarrow. So I actually like that we're seeing a bit more Japanese play on Lipany. Just to remind people, this is indeed Lipany. It's just you've been sport watching tournament games where EGC Lipany is less whatever the hell you'd call this. Yeah, the only thing I can think about why it's maybe overloading the encoder is that I told it to ignore the streaming service settings recommendations, which a lot of people say you should ignore so you can get a higher bitrate. But I'm wondering if that's just a fallacy and it causes issues with Twitch now. It might be that Twitch updated something and now there's problems. I haven't seen anyone complaining about the quality of the recording, so I assume it's looking good now. Is Lipany spawns like Minecraft maps? Dude, don't get me started on this. Was it... Who was I casting? Wait, was it Euricon where you were playing Abbasids against an Ibid player? No, sorry, it was Numadon. That's the most heinous one I can remember this year so far, where his opponent, like the Ibis player, basically had a cliffside that fully encapsulated 2 sacred sites. So he didn't really have any way he could easily extend to. He didn't have access to the relics for the mid-map. And he just felt claustrophobic, right? Like his own woodlines were trapping him in. This happens a lot. Like it's kind of happened to Louis in this game, right? Where you can see between these areas, you might say, oh, that's great. That's a defendable location, KP. Yeah, but if a Civ starts to kind of pressure you on the map, right? You've given over a lot. All the relics, all the sacred sites. And if you think about it from the sacred site perspective, especially this east side one is so easily wallable and defendable for Wham. A lot less so for Louis. So Kurstos on the way. Let's hit the 2 times here. No funky opening plays, nothing unorthodox. We have got Arkin, by the way. Arkin Chapel is on the rise. A lot more players are engaging with it, and it kind of makes sense. It's only a 15% increase, but what you have to realize is because your base rate got increased by 28%, collectively between your base rate and the Arkin, you're getting more of a buff than the HRE get from their Arkin Chapel. So it's interesting when you look at these buffs from that perspective, because it's not additive, right? It's you taking this raw count of 128% and then increase it by another 15%, which is always going to be bigger than if you add 15% onto 100%. So Japanese with the Kurstor house. No outposts being set up on the gold is kind of interesting. Typically, you're going to want to prep for that. We've got 195 wood, so a choice should be made very soon. He's already got Takazaiko in the way, but with this much wood, I'm starting to wonder, are we looking at some sort of Rax play here? Maybe a stables, because usually I feel like you're going to see a person only go up to the required for an outpost in a house and then rush castle. But to me, this is an obnoxious amount of wood gathering at an early point when it's not needed. Love the switch over to berries as well. In the meantime, it looks like Wham has actually gone for a 2 TC build. This is going to be ruined by Louis. There is something ironic about the Canadians having their deers ruined. These guys are obsessed with deer pushes, right? Like, we've seen it time and time again from Papapour and Wham. They switched everyone onto the matter. And the kind of interesting thing is if Wham had just got a little bit further out, maybe he would have been better suited between a double deer location because the scout could only shove one of those out, right? Not both. But great little play by Louis. It's going to make Wham a lot less efficient with his economy. That's also just going to buy extra time, right? Louis has to be feeling quite confident about this game right now. He's getting Castle Age for free. His opponent went 2 TC, and on top of it, these are 2 relic-seeking civs with Castle Age, right? So that's a phenomenal edge for the Japanese. It also now guarantees that if Wham wants to try and play for that win condition, he needs to secure the mid-map, which means he has to actively invest in this age. I think pushing deer is meta in almost every game at the moment. That's because everyone watched EGC, right? And they saw it being done, so everyone is now just shifting into it. Does Fast Castle typically beat 2 TC? That is where I'm going to go almost lawyer on you and say it depends. So in this matchup, yes, Fast Castle will feel a lot better. The reason is that 2 TC, if you're in a matchup where your opponent wants to seek relics, is one thing. If it's a matchup where you also want relics, all of a sudden it's something you're behind in. And you have to remember that relics return value a lot quicker than double TC play will, right? To get relics, often I'm just building a monastery for 200 wood, and then I'm building a monk for 150 gold to start getting access to that, right? To even start getting access to your eco value, you have to spend 750 resources. It's a huge difference. Then there's the build time. Don't get me started on that, right? The default is 2 minutes versus 20 seconds. This all adds up. Then you think about the fact that a TC needs to be placed in a nice position, which means you're going to be moving out somewhere compared to a monastery where I can build it at home and then start running for the relic straight away. And what? Who am I kidding, man? He's already proven that he can annihilate Canadians playing Order of the Dragon with this build. It's once again going to be the Temple of Equality build coming out from Louis. I actually love that he's making this work. This is probably the only matchup I'm convinced it makes sense in right now, but it makes a lot of sense in this matchup. The other would potentially be Ibids, but I just feel like the Ibid player doesn't have to come to your base, so it doesn't matter. But this is insane. Up against Order of the Dragon, what you have to realize is that Order of the Dragon, their units have higher stats, right? They are phenomenally powerful as single entities. But when you put everything into a single entity, it's a bad thing. It can backfire. This is a lesson I learned years ago when I played World of Warcraft, the trading card game. I was a pet hunter. If anyone knows what a pet hunter is, I was a hunter druid combo. What that meant is I would get a pet that had like 1/1 attack and defend, and then I'd +4 buff it, and +4 buff it, and +4 buff it, and +4 buff it. And I buff it all the way up until I'm at the stats of a Gilded Knight from the Order of the Dragon. And then all of a sudden, this Buddhist is the equivalent of someone just disintegrating the card. Or minusing 50% of all that investment I made. It's just such a powerful tool. And, you know, there is still some bugs around the behavior of Buddhist monks. I don't like the fact that they target debuff the same unit altogether. Makes it very kind of messy. But even when it's doing that, in this matchup, we've seen incredible results. And in this particular clash, considering Wham wants to lean into Men-at-Arms, considering he's already forfeited the idea of relics by going Burgrave, if his plan is to go mass Men-at-Arms against Buddhist monks with Samurai Adachi to assist, you're actually going to see the Samurais beating him one-on-one. Does not make sense here. Yoroshield Knights or even just Samurais, if you spot Burgrave, would have butchered Wham's eco. I don't think it's necessary to play that all in, though. I think you can actually play it at this pace and it's fine. Because he's still going to get relics. Arguably, he's going to get relics quicker. So the Order of the Dragon detail on its side already is a good thing, right? Like, you know, that's what makes the Buddhist good. How about this? Add in this little spicy detail as well. Against Order of the Dragon, who want relics, you're going to get a much more aggressive relic collecting time than if you waited for the Floating Gate. Wait, are we we're getting star again? Dude, what is causing this? Let me keep an eye on the task manager. Okay, so my CPU usage right now is up to 74%. I am becoming more and more and more and more and more and more convinced that they've done something. That they've changed something with AoE4. AoE4 should not be this CPU intensive. It's a 1700X, right? But like, it's only streaming. It's the only thing it's focused on right now. Also seems to be something to do when I'm following. I've noticed that as well. Whenever I follow, the CPU's usage hikes by 20%. Alright, guys. I think I know the solution. We just can't follow units. That's weird. If we drag like this... Nope, it's just as bad. Alright, anyway, let's focus on the game. Relics are being pulled back. 2 more on the way home. Second TC also coming in on delay. Love this from Louis. Makes a lot of sense, right? Like, this is a nice play. The way that Louis is playing the Japanese here is kind of comparative to how you play Ibids. Get relics, go for TCs on a delay. Works pretty well. Now, of course, Wham is going to maintain that eco lead, right? His villagers are better. But this is where it gets really cool. When you rush the relics like this, you have 5+ Buddhist monks. You have more because you're against dragons. You then get Zen. All of a sudden, these units start to pay back their cost. Looks like with the knight sneaking through, Wham might have a problem here. I'm not a big fan of his comp. He surely had to know this was going to be a Mountain Samurai opening. He chose to go for men-at-arms plus crossbows. The problem with this is I can't think of a slower comp you could build as Order of the Dragon. I don't think there is a slower comp. If this was spears, you'd be able to actually move and block these moves a lot quicker. Sure, if the crossbows manage to gap close, they are going to destroy these samurais. But that should never be happening. Well, how about this? Things that should never be happening. An Order of the Dragon player having to stare down the face of a 5-relic opponent. Great control of the map now by Louis. Wow. Where is the play here? Because typically, like, I've seen all of the Dragon players in this position just try to go Imperial Age. I hate that. It's the problem right now is, realistically, Louis, he has options. He could try to eco up. If he ecos up, then it makes sense to go Pulse Swabia. But if Louis tries to all-in you, you need to be ready to fight. So I actually prefer what we're seeing from Wham right now, which is scaling more military to attack. And Zen is the tech that gives you 25 gold every minute for each Buddhist monk. Basically, these guys become a walking eco unit. It's interesting, right? Because these guys essentially are giving you, like, half the value of a base villager. It's not a bad trade, right? It was an interesting design choice by the developers to essentially make it so that this unit that's being used to demilitarize your opponent can also be this kind of pseudo-worker. Make towers, monks can't debuff them. Ah, yes. The true strategy. You know, it's interesting that Rico raises that point because we watched Puppy Paw attempt that exact strategy. It didn't work. And the reason it didn't work is the player he's up against. I think why you're seeing Louis find success with the Buddhist monks is due to his playstyle. Louis is very much this kind of calculated, late-game scaling, attritional warfare-based player. He's not afraid of that. Attritional warfare players will benefit a lot more from the Buddhist monk detail because of what it allows you to do to the map. It stops a direct head-on attack while you take resources on the flanks. It allows you to gain resources while stopping that direct-on attack. It's an insanely powerful tool in the right hands. And Arms Crossbow still just trying to mirror these moves. I mean, at least the walls are up, so that's going to stop that. But now we're seeing double manga now. We're seeing Odachi. Interesting thing about the Mangoes here, I've said before, I don't like Mangoes that much up against Order of the Dragon because their units are too tanky, but the annoying thing for Wham here is his army's a bit too mobile. So if he runs in and gets walloped by double Mango, he doesn't really have a quick way of diving in and punishing that. That's Rax is also now being prepped. I guess that's actually also another cool thing about this build versus the Yorishiro approach, right? Flown Gate, I don't think Flown Gate actually gives you as much flexibility in that you can flexibly move every 2 minutes into something new, but those are rigid timings, right? You don't really balance your economy in a way that you're prepping for a mass transition beforehand. So if something goes wrong, like a Yorishiro gets sniped, or you have to drop it off in a Forge instead, all of a sudden your build falls apart, whereas the way that Louis has been anticipating and prepping for this type of build, he always knew he'd have to drop 4 or 5 of a production building, right? If you Yorishiro drop a Rax and it's the wrong choice, you're stuck with that now. You can't just get rid of it. So yeah, I kind of like this from a flexibility standpoint. The whole logic behind Floating Gate is Floating Gate puts you ahead on transitions. But if you're not sure what the transition has to be, then actually Temple of Equality can feel quite nice. And yes, we're aware the stream is a bit choppy. We're going to restart the stream after this game and see if it improves. If it doesn't, then I'll restart the stream quickly after that on my primary PC. So don't worry, guys. I am aware. Stick with me. We tried something new because basically I was noticing there was a lot of strain on the primary PC. We tried doing a two-stream PC setup, but apparently that is not going very well. Rams moving in. Unfortunately, these Rams are not going to fare well against Mass Mangonel. The truest of anti-siege. Remember when people are like, oh no, this is stupid, needs to be nerfed. Gets nerfed, still does this. And Arms is now trying to rotate around. This is difficult for Wham. He can't fight directly into this. He needs to try and raid the flanks and find economy. Unfortunately, there's hesitation for good reason. If he dives in, he could easily die. I love the fact that it's just intimidating to see this many Buddhist monks coming up behind you, knowing that your damage output is about to be removed entirely. Rams, in the meantime, are going to break through the wall, but quick reaction comes in. So villagers will be able to clear this up. And I wonder, do we just see an Imperial switch now? Wham is choosing to go into Springolds, but we can always see that Louis is fixing for that as well. A Civ with gilded siege units? Oh god, no. The amount of people who moan about Mangonels these days, why are you doing this? Yes, I want a Gustav siege train, please. I saw Ray coming in from Mount Samurai. Cool little detail there, right? Wham moved out the entire army. He doesn't have anything to defend with, so it's giving me some eco losses. And a lot of idle time as well for Wham. Still, Wham keeps the conviction, continues to just spam up to maximum pop here. Also, why do you need gilded siege units? We already have those. Have you not seen the Ottomans? A Great Bombard is basically a gilded siege weapon. So now I'm going to ask you the very important question that everyone in chat is going to judge you for. Having seen Great Bombards and what they are and what they've been, do you really want more units like that? So Wham's win condition has to be a castle win here, right? At this point, yes. This is way too many crossbows and men-at-arms to throw away for nothing. Now, the good news is he has as many crossbows as there are samurai. The bad news is he really needs a lot more siege. The worrying part is if you come in with just a one-springald advantage pushing into the enemy base, they're going to get time to stockpile more. The other annoying thing is what Louis done here with the tree lines. This is a cool detail, a little tip for people. You can see through walls. That sounds weird to say, but it's true, right? If you park mangonels here, a Springald player will see you. If you park mangonels here, he can't see a damn thing, which means he has to come in range. So you can wait for him to get in range for the good shot and then ambush him. That's something I've been noticing high-level players doing a lot more of now. Used to be very rare to see. It might just happen by occurrence, right? It was a... What's the word for? Coincidence, my brain today. But now I'm seeing it more and more frequently. And it makes sense on a map like this when you have so much more wood. But what about this for a choice that might not make sense? Louis has decided to go for Imperial Age. Now, he's going to have enough of the Shogunate soon, so that might actually protect him from a dive. I feel like he's given a strong timing over to Wham here, though, an opportunity. I'm not liking this, folks, right now. I think we've got bad news on the horizon for Louis. Wow, he's pretty much a pop, right? So he's going to be stockpiling his own resources towards Imperial soon. Sami is ready to rock and roll. Tech up still hasn't complete yet, so if he starts to try and break the wall now, you can catch him with his hand in the cookie jar. It looks like instead, Wham probably just going to back up and go imp himself. But what worries me now is Louis is too reliant on Siege to hold this. Wham, in the next 2-3 minutes, right, go Imperial, get Culverins. We already highlighted this before. Culverins are just better than Springolds, full stop. They're more pop efficient. Got raids coming in on the flanks. This is going to idle out a little bit of economy, but Wham, notice he's looking for a way in. This is a really important detail for people to learn from. When you have the tech up disadvantage, you get an advantage elsewhere. Your opponent should technically be weaker than you, so you need to pressure them for it. Nehan on the way. Ooh! Now that is interesting. Because I have not seen anyone use this so far. But this is sick. Louis is looking to utilize it. The Buddha's conversion, right? Nehan is just a better version. So usually you only get the 20% damage. Now you're going to wall quicker, and you're going to give movement speed as well. That's sick. That does buff mangonels as well, by the way. So this is like having a Kurultai effect. Love the fact that he's moving the temples along with him as well. Dive comes in though. Wham's not having any of it. Immediately Louis has to run back home, all because he never set up any stone walls. I can't believe this. Louis needs to get close enough to utilize this tool. Wham is diving towards the rocket launchers. This is one of the situations where having the Shogun is going to kind of keep your opponent away. Mangonel hits are big though. So he's going to be sniping out the siege as it spawns. March continues. Louis. It's so awkward when you reach this stage because Wham is going to look to disengage from the mangonels at all costs, right? And movement speed-wise, they always will be able to do so. Good crossbowman moving 1.12 compared to the 0.75. So good little raid there from Wham. Done some damage, got out, mostly unscathed. The men-at-arms go down, sure, but the crossbows are the backbone of this formation. They're the thing that matters most. Castle now coming up. Louis looking to pressure here. Castle being built by Wham as well. Hasn't been scouted yet. Azutsu in the formation though. No Wallalor being triggered yet is surprising here. Louis, I mean, crap will get off the pot, man. Like, the damage you're missing out on right now. This also might be a few too many monks. So the reason why, by the way, you have to look at what his economy is. You think it's 84. It's actually, like, these guys are more like your eco units in this game. You got to add about, like, an extra 15 villagers on discount. Wham, what the? Wait, why? I can't believe this, man. Why go around the back? He was trying to raid the economy, right? Instead, he gave the desirable fight over to his opponent. These are Odachi, Oda Tactics Samurai, up against mere elite gilded men-at-arms. There's no elite army tactics yet from Wham. What makes it even worse, not only is there no elite army tactics, I guess if there was, you'd just be losing more damage overall. Wow, what a terrible unit. No wonder All the Dragon sucks. Only hitting for 10 damage. Zutsu moving in, Mangoes as well. That relic is still being held here. There's an attack coming. Have we got the Bodkins? No, no Bodkins here. Wait, he went Arkin. Yeah, why did someone mention Bodkins? Are you high? We got Arkin play. Arkin and Nell's back. What is this? I love the fact that he's just building Buddhist temples on the go. There's the buff coming through. The Warlord gets activated. Look at the damage! Oh my god! They have 26 base damage. And the Bannerman puts them up to full 30. Dude, this is strong. This is powerful auras right now. That is crazy. Another Warlord, another +5 damage. Unfortunately, the Mangonels aren't attacking. Louis, come on, man. You got to be quicker than this. You got to be cleaner. The chain healing's actually doing quite a lot of work as well. That's the interesting detail, right? It's like Louis isn't getting much opportunity to use the debuff, but he's got all the time in the world to use the healing on the front side. But we got another Warlord coming. Get those mangoes in range. Wow, I'm prepping the Culverin though. I just don't know if it's going to work. To me, it feels a little bit too slow. Like, I'm looking at Wham, and he just has all the time in the world to react to this, right? Culverin's on the way. He's got L's back, which means his base isn't going to get deleted anytime soon either. The Zutsu count is getting big, right? That's one thing to consider here. But the Zutsu aren't that great up against Gilded Crossbowmen. Think about the range, right? It's almost the same range, but you get hit very quickly and very frequently. And you happen to be a heavy unit, so you do take that bonus damage. The crawl continues. You know, this is kind of nuts when I think about it from the Buddhist temple perspective. Like, look at the range on this thing. It's debuffing all the way over here. So you're always in range of it. You're always losing damage. And right now, because you're in Culverin, you actually don't have a solution to it directly. However, now with the mangonels going down, I think we have problems for Wham. Oh, sorry, for Louis. Dive comes in. Warlord once again given that buff. Buddhist getting a grand total of 20% more damage on the 0 damage, but the Owner Bagisha, oh my god! They hit for 18 damage! What the hell? You know, I think this is a detail that's missing. The Owner Bagisha have never slapped so hard in their life. Another +3. Culverin snipes out the last of it. The Warlord is not going to be going off here. Relic can be picked up and ran home. Now, look, guys, this is a crazy thing, actually. This is genius from Louis. A Warlord doesn't go on cooldown unless it triggers. So why Louis was doing this is it's cool. You keep Warlording on repeat, and you keep buffing your army. That's insane! So now, look, he'll go back in the fight. He'll Nihon conversion again. He'll force his opponent to snipe him. And then the moment he does, he picks the Relic up again, waits another 20 seconds, and then rebuffs. That is bonkers. Dude, the brain on this kid. Nihon conversion comes in. Wham! On his last legs here. It's so hard to try and hold this now. The Ozbat Palace at least can make your base tanky, but the problem is your opponents are just as tanky here. Don't forget, it also gives movement speed, because the Nihon conversion gives an extra 20%. What a crazy strategy from Louis. I don't know if Wham's embarrassed or impressed. Oh, we got a strap. Dude, that is sick. Let me quickly name that one. Wow. That is sick. One sec, let me just quickly name that. So Japan's permanent. I guess I got Japan's insane damage plus speed buff. Alright, there we go. So, we've got some latency issues. I'm quickly going to start the stream. It might pull the stream down for like a second, but then it should be immediately back up. So give me one sec, guys, and we'll see if that works. And if that doesn't, I'll just switch back on to my other PC, which I know will run smoothly. So bear with me one sec. Real quick here. Stopping the stream now. And we're back. Alright, hopefully that didn't make everyone tune out. Yeah. Goddamn annoying that it was doing that. Alright, so we here. How dare you leave? What? You must stay. This is your new home. I hope that works. I mean, I'm glad we're ironing this out now before the show match in like an hour. And how long? 2.5 hours. Right. So I'm quickly actually going to check live from the ladder to see if anyone's playing. And then if that didn't work, like I said, I'll just trigger it onto my stream and we'll be good to go. We'll be fine. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Let's see what we've got. Any familiar faces in the 1v1? Probably not. Cow? No. Wait, what? Dude, please. Like, cow. What is that game length? He wonders why I won't cast his games. I mean, that answers for itself, really, doesn't it? Jesus. Christ. That's a nightmare to look at. So, I think... Let's do a Louis versus GUA game. Did everyone refresh? Hopefully we're all back. It's one of the annoying things as a streamer when you're trying to like grow the community so you can get sponsors is when you get annoying technical issues like that and then like you go from, I don't know, whatever the count was and you go down to like half. Always the sweat of it. Sometimes I am envious of people that just do YouTube content. It is kind of a weird thing. Like so that's an interesting thing. Like, that's also why a lot of people that's successful on Twitch just like lean into YouTube as well, long term. Is because like YouTube can just like generate you money years from now, right? But Twitch can't. It's in the moment. Why don't I stream my main PC? Because I was noticing it was having encoding issues. A lot less encoding issues, but like it would occasionally have encoding issues. So, a 2 PC setup should put less pressure on the overall setup, right? It should actually allow me to encode at a higher quality. Even though it's a Gen 1 Ryzen CPU, a Gen 1 Ryzen CPU solely for the purpose of encoding a stream should be really good. But it had its issue, clearly. All right. We've got another game. We'll see if this works. Like I said, if it doesn't, then we'll just have to stream from the same PC. Oh, no. Well, it just immediately popped up saying encoding issues. Let's have a look. Is that laggy, guys? It's laggy, isn't it? I'm confused as to why it would ever be laggy at this point. It really shouldn't be. Yo, sub pack up. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate the sub. Right. Let me try going down this. Let me try this. Wipe the extra settings. Stick them very fast. High profile. How does this look? Is this good? That's laggy, right? Oh, actually. Is it laggy? Damn it. Okay. This PC is a pile of crap. GG. This definitely should be on CBR. If I turn the profiles off, one last try. Is that good? It looked like I had encoder overload again. So, still bad then. Alright, one sec. I know what to do. how annoying that two PCs works worse than one. That makes 0 sense, but it is what it is. So what I'm going to do, quickly stop the stream. It might drop for a second, and then I'll start it on my main. In fact, if I do this right, it might not even drop the stream for you guys. So bear with me 1 second as I quickly click the buttons. That's so stupid, though. It makes no sense. I mean, it's an old CPU, but still. All right. I'm going to start the stream in a sec. If it does hang, just literally F5 straight away, and you should be back. All right. I believe we should be back online and Gucci to go. You know what the interesting part was? Is that I think YouTube said they didn't have a problem. That was the weird part. That was the weird part.